All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep, deep into the life of Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
You know, Iron Mike, the legend, the one and only.
The champ.
But we're going way beyond just, those knockout moments and those crazy headlines. We've got all sorts of biographical articles here. We even dug up some court documents to really, try to understand,
The man behind the myth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's rewind all the way back, right? Let's go to the beginning.
To the beginning.
Brooklyn in the 60s.
Wow.
Tough neighborhood, poverty. We're talking absent father. It's the kind of beginning that you could see how it might make someone
come out swinging.
Yeah, literally. And see, that's what's so fascinating about his story is, that early life, it didn't just shape him a little bit.
Right.
It practically became his boxing style.
Yeah.
That raw power, that aggression, that aura of just intimidation.
Totally,
you could almost see his past in every punch he threw.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you get the sense that he was fighting to prove something, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right from the get-go.
From day one.
And then boom, youngest heavyweight champion ever.
At 20 years old.
20 years old. November 22nd, 1986. Just picture it. He takes down Trevor Berbick, and it's like the entire world just stops and stares at this force of nature.
And most fighters, right, they get to that point, they're at the top of the mountain, they're happy, they're satisfied. They die. But not Tyson, not Mike Tyson. He goes on to unify the entire heavyweight division. He's got the WBA, the WBC, and the IBF belt, something almost unheard of in boxing.
He wasn't just winning. He was
dominating.
But, this is where things start to get a little complicated, right? You have all this intensity, all this drive that made him a champion, but it also seemed to spill over into his personal life,
It's where do you draw the line?
Right.
When does that fire turn into something else?
And that marriage to Robin Givens back in 88,
oh, yeah.
It was short, it was chaotic, and of course it ends with those really disturbing accusations of domestic violence.
And that's really where, the cracks in this perfect image start to show, right?
Yeah.
You've got this young guy, barely even out of his teens.
He's a kid.
A kid dealing with global fame.
Right.
Immense pressure. And, probably never even really had a chance to process all the trauma from his childhood.
It makes you wonder, if all of that, how much, did all that play a role?
Absolutely.
And then 91 hits, and this is where things take a really, really dark turn.
Yeah.
Desiree Washington, a contestant in the Miss Black America pageant, accuses Tyson of rape. And, this leads to this huge trial.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he's sentenced to 6 years in prison.
In that case,
it's
so complex.
So much to unpack.
So much to unpack. And you really have to understand the context of the time.
Yeah.
Societal attitudes toward women back then.
Totally different.
Different. The way the media was portraying the situation.
Sensationalized.
Absolutely. And the fact that Tyson has always and continues to maintain his innocence.
Right.
It adds so many layers to an already really, really difficult conversation.
And it makes you think, even for somebody at the very top of their game, right?
Top of the world.
Your personal demons, your legal battles, it can just
derail
everything. And it makes you think about, how we as a society, how we handle these situations.
How we view
media.
The media and the role they play in all this.
Right. Because it's
And how fame,
yeah.
Right. Fame can both amplify, but it can also distort reality.
Totally. And for Tyson, even though he insisted on his innocence, you have to wonder.
How much did that change things?
Oh, it was a turning point. There's no question.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of cemented a certain image of him in the public eye.
An image that would be really hard to shake.
Really hard to shake. And so he serves his time.
Right. He does his time.
And in 95, he's back in the ring.
Back in the game.
Trying to reclaim his title.
Trying to reclaim what he had.
But that baggage, it's there.
It's heavy baggage.
It's heavy, and it kind of all leads up to one of the most, infamous moments in sports history,
Oh, yeah.
The
ear bite.
The ear bite seen around the world.
Fun.
That's the one, 1997, fighting Evander Holyfield. And suddenly, in the middle of this match, Tyson just,
bites off a piece of his ear.
Bites off a piece of Holyfield's ear. It's the kind of thing you see and you're like, did that just happen?
Did that just happen?
And it instantly became this, symbol of Tyson unraveling.
Yeah.
I got to ask you, what was going through his mind at that moment?
What do you think? I mean,
was it desperation? Was it some kind of like calculated move?
or was it a total mental break?
Right. Like what was it?
It's so hard to say.
Right.
I mean, and that's what makes it so fascinating,
Yeah.
Was it just the overwhelming pressure of this comeback attempt?
Yeah.
Was it a reaction to, maybe feeling like he was being cheated during the fight?
Feeling frustrated.
Or was there something deeper going on?
Right.
Like a manifestation of all this inner turmoil he'd been carrying around, just finally exploding.
Yeah. It's
like what was the breaking point?
Right. And whatever the reason, I mean, it gets him banned from boxing, right?
Oh, yeah.
And for a lot of people, I think it just solidified that image of him.
As unpredictable.
As dangerous.
Yeah.
But, here's the thing that always just blows my mind.
What's that?
Despite all of this chaos, Tyson made a fortune.
He did? Yeah.
During his career.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking...
a lot of money.
We're talking over $400 million.
Yeah.
$400 million.
It's mind-boggling.
So how is it even possible then?
Well, that's the thing.
To go from, hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions.
To zero.
To zero. It's a story that we see play out a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's a cautionary tale for anyone who thinks that just because you're making a lot of money,
that you're set,
that you're good to go. Because in 2003, Mike Tyson files for bankruptcy. I mean, how do you even spend? I know there was extravagant spending. Yeah, there was.
There were mansions.
Mansions, luxury cars. He even had pet tigers.
Pet tigers.
It all adds up, but there's more to it than just, irresponsible spending habits.
You're talking about Don King.
Don King.
Yeah. The promoter with the hair. Yeah. The hairstyle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Long-time promoter, right?
Yeah, for a long time.
And so Tyson later sues King.
He does.
Claiming that he was basically cheated.
Cheated out of millions.
Over their, almost 20-year partnership.
A long time to be working with someone.
And it's like this classic story, right?
Classic story of the dark side of fame.
The danger.
Trusting the wrong people.
And the importance of just being financially savvy no matter how much money you're making.
You can't just assume that because you have it, you're going to keep it.
So it wasn't just Tyson, blowing through all his cash,
right.
But it's like he was also potentially being taken advantage of.
By someone he thought he could trust?
By somebody, yeah, like...
That's got to sting.
That's got to hurt even more, right?
Yeah, it's like a whole other kind of knockout punch.
Yeah, coming from behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly. And it just highlights, how vulnerable even someone as powerful as Mike Tyson can be.
In a world where, money and fame, it attracts...
all sorts of people.
All sorts, and
not all of them with, good intentions.
Not all of them are there for the right reasons. And so now we've got this incredibly talented, incredibly troubled boxer who has basically hit rock bottom, both personally and financially. Where
does he go from here?
What happens next?
What's the next chapter?
Is there even a way back from all of this?
That's the big question.
Can he reinvent himself?
Can he change the narrative?
Can he find redemption?
And if so, how? Stay tuned.
We'll be right back after this short break.
That's what's really amazing, though, about Mike Tyson. He doesn't just, stay down.
He gets back up.
He finds a way to reinvent himself,
Yeah.
And in some ways connects with people on a whole other level.
Yeah. And it really is kind of a comeback story.
Oh, yeah.
But not in the, traditional boxing sense.
No, not just about winning fights.
It's a personal transformation.
Exactly. Yeah. He starts, trying different things, dips his toes into acting.
Like those Hangover movies.
Yeah, those cameos are iconic.
It's classic.
And
he has some reality TV, too, which I think really let people see a different side of him.
A little more... vulnerable side.
Yeah, more human.
A little bit of humor, too.
And I think that's what really starts to, shift public perception.
Yeah, it's like we're not just seeing Iron Mike anymore.
Right, not just the ferocious boxer.
You're seeing Mike Tyson, the person.
The human being, with flaws and all.
And that's huge because he's willing to laugh at himself. To talk about his struggles, addiction, mental health.
That takes a lot of courage.
It really does. And I think that's what makes it so powerful. He's taking control of his own story.
Not letting the media define him.
Right, not letting the past define him either.
He's owning his mistakes.
But he's also showing that growth is possible.
That you can evolve.
You can change.
But even during this, period of self-discovery and kind of finding himself, tragedy strikes again.
To that.
His 4-year-old daughter, Exodus.
It's just heartbreak.
Dies in a terrible accident.
Yeah, and you really see the impact it had on him.
I mean, a loss like that
Changes you.
It changes you. And it's a reminder that no matter who you are, life can just throw these unimaginable punches that just knock you down.
Knock you off your feet.
And it makes you think about what really matters,
That's important.
About the fragility of life, But I think in a way that tragedy also seemed to fuel his commitment to personal growth.
He becomes even more vocal about mental health awareness.
Using his platform
to share his story.
To encourage others.
Yeah, like he's saying, look, I've been to hell and back, but there's a way out. There's hope.
And it's his honesty that resonates with people.
It's real.
Here's this guy, once the symbol of aggression, the baddest man on the planet.
Right.
And now he's talking about vulnerability, seeking help, taking care of your mental well-being.
It's a complete 180 from that old image.
A total transformation.
And it's inspiring, especially for people struggling with their own stuff.
So, I mean, we've gone from the highs of being undisputed champion
to the lows of prison, bankruptcy.
And now this journey of self-discovery, advocacy.
It's that same fire.
That same drive.
That fueled his doxing.
Is now driving this commitment to helping others.
Yeah, it's like he found a different kind of fight.
Right, a fight for
his well-being.
For the well-being of others.
And it's still there, that intensity, that focus.
It's just channeled in a different direction.
Exactly.
And what strikes me is that he genuinely seems happy now.
At peace.
At peace with himself.
You see it, yeah.
In interviews.
When he's interacting with fans.
There's a lightness.
A sense of humor.
A willingness to just be open,
Be vulnerable. Be himself.
And there's a sense of acceptance there too, right?
He's not hiding from his past.
He's embracing it, the good and the bad.
And I think that honesty is really what makes him so relatable.
Makes him human, He's saying, look, I messed up. I made mistakes.
But I'm still here. I'm learning.
Still trying.
Trying to be better.
So after going through all of this, what do you think is the biggest takeaway from Mike Tyson's story? What's the thing that really sticks with you?
For me, it's that even the most celebrated figures, the ones we put on pedestals, they're human, They're
not perfect.
Not perfect. They can do amazing things, but they can also make huge mistakes.
And they can change.
They can grow. They can find redemption in the most unexpected places.
And it's we judge people
based on these snapshots.
Headlines.
Without really understanding the whole picture.
We try to fit these complex individuals into these neat little boxes,
Hero, villain, champion, cautionary tale.
But life is messy.
It's
complicated. It's not black and white.
And that's the beauty of taking a deep dive like this, right?
Yeah, you start to see those layers.
The contradictions.
The moments of brilliance, the moments of failure. It's all part of what makes them who they are.
And that's what makes it so fascinating.
And I think that's ultimately what Mike Tyson's story teaches us.
To resist these easy labels.
To be open to the possibility of change.
To understand that sometimes the most chaotic journeys
can lead to the most profound transformations.
It's a reminder that even someone who seemed larger than life,
invincible in the ring,
can be brought to their knees by life's challenges.
But it's also a reminder that it's possible to get back up.
To learn from those experiences.
To come out stronger.
There's hope.
It's a message of hope, really. I mean, if Mike Tyson,
who faced so many obstacles,
made so many mistakes,
can find redemption,
then sure,
there's hope for all of us.
It's never too late, right?
Never too late to turn things around, to make amends, to strive for better.
And sometimes the most unlikely individuals
become the most powerful sources of inspiration.
So after this deep dive into the life and legacy of Mike Tyson.
A wild ride, for sure.
A wild ride. We've explored the triumphs, the struggles, the controversies, and ultimately his quest for redemption.
And hopefully, we've all gained a little more understanding of this complex and fascinating person.
Someone who defied categorization.
Challenged our perceptions.
And ultimately reminded us of the power of the human spirit.
To overcome, to find peace.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. The next time you encounter someone, whether it's a celebrity, a historical figure, even someone you think you know well.
Remember Mike Tyson's story.
Remember that there's always more than meets the eye.
Remember the power of second chances, the possibility of transformation.
And approach every story, every person with an open mind.
And compassionate heart.
Because you never know what you might discover when you take the time to dive beneath the surface. For me, it's not really about changing my perception of him. It's more like I realized just how little I actually knew. Like you see the headlines, you see the knockouts, the controversies, all that, and you think, oh, okay, I got this guy figured out.
You think you know the story.
But there's so much more to it.
Yeah, it's so easy to fall into that trap, especially with someone like Mike Tyson.
He's larger than life.
He is. He's iconic. He's polarizing.
And it's like we try to fit these complex people into like these neat little boxes,
The hero, the villain, the champion, the cautionary tale.
But life is just messier than that.
Oh, much messier.
And that's kind of the beauty of taking a deep dive like this, right?
You start to see the layers.
The contradictions.
The good, the bad.
The moments of brilliance and the moments of, utter failure.
It's all part of what makes a person who they are.
And I think that's what Mike Tyson's story really teaches us, right?
Resist those easy labels.
Be open to the fact that people can change.
That sometimes the most unexpected journeys lead to the most profound transformations.
It's a reminder that even someone who seemed larger than life, invincible in the ring.
They can be knocked down, too.
By life.
By life's challenges, yeah.
But it's also a reminder that you can get back up.
You can learn from those falls.
You can come out stronger on the other side.
It's a message of hope.
It really is, because if Mike Tyson can find a path to redemption after everything he's been through, then,
There's hope for all of us.
There's hope for all of us.
Absolutely.
It's never too late, right?
Never too late to turn things around.
To try to make things right, to just be better.
To strive for something better.
And sometimes the most unlikely people, the people we least expect,
can become the biggest inspiration.
So after this deep dive into the life and legacy of Mike Tyson.
Phew, what a ride.
What a ride. I think we can all agree it's been a
roller coaster.
We explored the highs, the lows, the controversies, and ultimately that search for redemption.
And hopefully, we've all come away with a little bit better understanding of who he is.
A complex guy.
A fascinating guy.
Someone who, defied all those easy categories we try to put people in.
Challenged our perceptions.
And reminded us that the human spirit is powerful.
So we can overcome.
That we can find peace.
Even in the midst of chaos.
So as we wrap up, I just want to leave everyone with this. The next time you encounter someone, whether it's a celebrity, a historical figure, even someone you think you know really well.
Remember Mike Tyson's story?
Remember that there's always more than meets the eye.
Remember that second chances are real.
That transformation is possible.
And approach every story, every person, with an open mind, with a compassionate heart.
Because you never know what you might discover when you take the time to really look beneath the surface.
That's the beauty of it.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the life of Mike Tyson.
It's been a pleasure.